Welcome back to the Sacred Arts channel, where we talk about all things from the sacred to the practical. Today we have Natalie Viglione. She is a mystic healer and ancient wisdom storyteller. After a successful corporate career, she embarked on a journey to reconnect with her ancient soul and truth. In 2016, she founded Team Goo, short for Guru, offering worldwide guidance and support to heart-centered business owners. Inspired by a dream, in 2018, she launched the Disrupt Now program and podcast to assist individuals in tapping into their innate magic. Natalie is also a vessel for the Cosmic Mother and is a master herbalist in training, committed to guiding people back to the medicine and magic within themselves. Welcome, Natalie.
Oh, hello, Jesse. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Thank you for coming on to Sacred Arts and sharing your wisdom with us. I'm really intrigued by your story, even though we've only seen a little bit, a glimpse of it. It resonates so much with me.
Mm.
And can you tell us a little bit about what happened in your life? What was your story in terms of going from being deep in the corporate world back to like your roots, if you will?
Yeah, aren't those stories interesting? Um, the intriguing thing is that when I really think about the journey, I really fully remember never, always being in that space of not not fitting into that mainstream pathway. But what I noticed is I kept getting kind of knocked back into it. Every time I would deviate, something would happen where I would have to come back into this mainstream way of living. And so the corporate path just kind of unfolded before me, and I found myself there. But the interesting thing is, as those years crept by, I stayed in corporate for about 17 years, because I worked full time even during college and everything to put myself through. So, what I really noticed is it was like I was living dual lives in a way. I was the sacred being, the poet, the ancient wisdom researcher, um, the channeler of these messages. Yet I would bring it into my corporate life, and it was almost like a secret. I use them as like secret powers, my secret magic, because as an empathic individual, as an intuitive, I could tap into exactly what the other person was feeling, and thereby I could literally use these powers and this magic in the workplace when no one had any clue what was really going on. Why I was so successful in sales and business development and marketing is because I could actually tap into the feelings of the other souls in the room. And of course, I was very much stuck in the male dominated industries. As many women are in the marketing realm, they're not in the executive boardrooms. And so I always found myself erring onto the side of having to be one of the boys, and my toxic masculinity really started to take over within me. And sure enough, there came a time when my soul construct, my stream, was like, you have, we're calling you. It's time to activate, and you have a choice. And the choice is, you can continue down this path, but it is a negative path. It's a service to self path. And so if you stay on that path, that's fine. It's a choice. There's free will here. But you had a sacred plan. What do you want to do, essentially? And through dreams and messages and all of that calling to me in the corporate realm, literally I remember I went into a womanly arts conference. I was there for literally a day, and that's all it took. It was a Saturday. And
Was
then
that, sorry, was that with Mama Gina?
it was I'm so glad. Yeah, and at that time, it was just she was really, really just about,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
love
uh
her.
yeah, and this is a long time ago now, and it was just the stiletto I needed up my booty, so to speak, is what I
Mm,
called it. Because she actually wears stilettos on the stage, so, it actually makes a lot of sense.
yeah.
But, that Monday, I went in and I quit.
Ooh.
And I started my business. Essentially, I had already known it was coming. I felt it, and it was just literally like that push off the cliff that I needed to just step into the unknown.
Oh, that your story really speaks to my soul because I think a lot of us are kind of stuck in that loop and we're all using our gifts one way or another, whether consciously or unconsciously. And when we start to awaken, we really get this push and like this urgency, I think, to choose that path. And, whatever path we each choose, I think it's fine because it's all a learning opportunity. But how beautiful that you were able to tap in and have an opportunity to go to a conference like the Womanly Arts and really kind of open up in that way. And I know that through the process, we really kind of are guided through this concept of manifestation. And I just want to get your take on what is manifestation and how do you personally make things happen in your life?
Yeah, I mean, that push off was just I think that's doing it in a way that's extreme, but, I was set up to be able to manage that, and not everyone needs to do it that way. There's a much more brilliant approach that can be taken, which, is you do it slowly over time, right?
Yeah.
I did not. I dove into literally the deepest sea. But again, I had a fortunate experience to where it was just the way that it all unfolded was really magnificent. So the manifestation component, as what is awakened within me by stepping into that sacred mission is truly the sacred mission within me. And so the DNA starts unfolding. It starts liberating itself from the confines in which that I had kept it co- sort of controlled
Mm,
because it sort of needed to be given the environment I was in. It was not safe. And I know that a lot of people have to suppress their divine gifts in that way, and thereby we can sometimes forget what they are. And so we forget the magnitude of power that we hold. And so manifestation, it's for me, it was when I went into that, um, the secret. We all remember the secret, right? And we
yes.
watched the secret. And I was watching it. I remember, and I was like, something's missing here, guys. Like we
Mhm,
can't positive think our way into exactly what we want.
mhm,
That is a part of the formula. Don't get me wrong, but it is not the formula. And so I felt like something was missing. So what it dove me into is sacred ancient texts. Sure, most of them have been hijacked at this point by powers that be, but there's a lot of hidden codes in these things. And so I really got into like the Nagamati library. And then through that, it actually led me um, into Greg Braden, who was also talking about this. And
yeah.
this is, again, many, many years ago at this point. And so, anyway, what I learned is manifestation is our power to create. It's divinely ours, it's a gift, and it's innate within us. There's not one human on this planet that does not have that gift. It's
Mhm,
just that we need to unlock the remembering. And then it requires us to really remember that it's a formula. For I just can't it's a magic spell, really, because we need to kind of speak the language of the universe, the way it communicates.
mhm,
And that communication is we have to align everything with exactly what our intention is of what we want to bring to life. So it has to align, our intentions have to align with our thoughts. That means our emotions have to be in alignment with those intentions. So we need to align here. And then we need to speak the words that align to that. And then our actions that follow need to align to that. So it's this full alignment of, emotions, which are our thoughts really, the intentions behind all of that, the words and the actions that we take. And when I started to align all of those things, manifestation became easy and easier and easier. Like there was no lag time, because what we're doing is we're creating in the energetic, it's basically resonance. We're creating in an energetic resonance with what we truly want to bring into the physical reality. And by doing that kind of work and just remembering that whole alignment and then kind of letting go, allowing, that brings it from the etheric into the physical for us. And it can happen as rapidly as it needs to. And sometimes so rapidly you're like, oh wow, okay, that's where, here we are, we just got, we did that with the land that we found, my husband and I.
Mm.
And we were like, oh, okay, we have this, let's, okay. Here it is. Here's, so that is, so I think this, just remembering this formula, remembering that it's giving gratitude because it already exists. It's here. And we just need to believe that we can like bring it from this invisible into the physical, and bring it into our actual, day to day.
It's so interesting as you're speaking, like I know all these things, right? And for the most part I try to do all these things. How are you able to kind of get out of like your usual programming in terms of like the way that you think, the way that you are aligning your energy? How are you able to sort of because you mentioned this is kind of like a spell, but really we're all manifesting all the time. It's just about how we feel, what we think, what we think is going to happen. It is going to happen if your vibration is at a certain, without even knowing, unconsciously, right? So I feel like what you're talking about here is now manifestation being a conscious practice and kind of morphing or transforming into something that you aren't naturally. So how did you go about that?
Yeah. Well, in that journey to really bring more intention into the entire flow and creating and really realizing that it's the gratitude and the belief components that layer into all of this. What I started really working on was my words. Man,
Mm.
words, word magic. Words are where it's at because those are spells also. I mean, it's not called spelling because, right? I mean, it's all connected. And to see that bigger framework, I was thinking, man, this is all magic. This is all magic. And we can, through our will and determination, we really create what we're creating. Like we are the powerful creators, right?
Yeah.
And so for me, I had to change my words. Looking at my words, are my words matching exactly my intention and my emotions that are within me? And when we fully get into the vibration of the frequencies of our emotions and the intentions we have within them, and we speak those words, we can be very clear on how we're using those words. Because again, we can manifest things we don't want, really, truly, by the words that we're speaking. And then, of course, the actions that we're taking. There's so many between just those two elements. That's where a lot of misalignment can happen. Where it's as simple as, if we don't believe in something, we need to say something. We have to say no. We
Mhm.
have to really bring our authenticity, our It's beyond that though. It's like true transparency and then
Mhm.
being very careful of the words that we use within that framework. So mine was really stepping back and not speaking often and just going, that, no, we need to think about this for a moment.
Mhm.
And that was really powerful
Yeah.
because we also have all these words that don't mean anything. If
So
it's crazy when you really look at the words, you're like, what does this even mean? I'm not saying this anymore, or things that feel like they're, actually one big word, which is, it seems so innocent, but it's not, is understand.
mm,
I don't stand under anything. Mm-mm. No, I stand from within. So inner stand.
mm,
And then I saw this in a book, and it was actually talking about the power of words. I'm forgetting at the moment. And I was like, there we go. Just understanding versus understanding changes our direction.
mhm. Oh, that's so powerful. Absolutely. I am, part of my journey also was around changing my own frequency. And I had to start with, like, wait a second, I talk so much crap about myself. I like my inner thoughts were, it was just so natural. I never even noticed until I started to read books on manifestation and words of power and things like that. And it's like, whoa, it's really eye opening when you start to be mindful about your words and your frequency and how quickly things come into your life when you are in alignment,
Yes. And like you said, being kind, I mean, the words that we say to ourselves, are those words that you would say to anybody else?
right?
Most often, absolutely not. Not ever. Not to my worst enemy. Right?
Right?
Yeah.
It's
Mhm.
so baffling. And I wouldn't believe it if I wasn't doing it myself, right? Like,
Right.
I wouldn't believe that somebody else is talking that much crap about themselves
Right.
if I wasn't actually doing it myself. It's like, whoa, like, where did this even come from? And that's really about, like, peeling back those layers. And I think that manifestation also has this element of, like, diving into your shadow and diving into, like, your beliefs and
Totally.
really reworking that and reframing everything so
Yeah.
that you can I love that example that you gave on, like, the land that you found and how quickly that came in. And it just it is a testament to, like, the work that you've done and really aligning yourself, whether consciously or unconsciously, right?
Right.
Which is really beautiful.
Right. Right.
You had mentioned studying herbs and becoming an herbologist. How do you use natural remedies and herbs to help you feel better and achieve what you want?
Yeah. So that has been an interesting world to dive into. Um, and it was my own healing journey that pushed off the cliff once again. Because I didn't I there's been a lot. It's a really long story, so I'm not even going to go into all the details. However, when I really had to wake up to what was going on within my body, I realized how much I wasn't in my body.
Mm,
Because I think there's a lot of us indigo star seeds wanderers, whatever we call ourselves, that when you're here with a sacred mission, there's a piece of us that doesn't want to be here because it's a hijacked realm and that's a whole other, thing. So it's a realm that doesn't, it's inverted and it feels upside down and we feel it. We know it. And so I didn't want to be in my body. And, I loved running because it actually took me outside of my body. Things that really I wasn't fully anchored for a very long time. And when I would be fully anchored, I fully felt all the feels, and those feels as an empath are very strong. And so you have to learn how to protect your energy. You need to discern what is and is not yours. And I was living in big cities my entire life up until 2017. And so, I mean, big as in New York City. So, you know, when you're in those kinds of places, go ahead and try to disconnect your energy. It's like virtually impossible.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, as all of the weaving that got me to that point to really hit these, I was very ill in my late 30s. It was very scary how it was unfolding. And I couldn't go to the mainstream for answers because those answers aren't there for natural healing. And I've always been very for natural healing. The earth provides, period. So what I've learned is that herbs are frequencies.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we look at them as frequencies, we need to see them as like, okay, well, what in my field is there a space that needs to be cleared, purified, or supported? And then I look at herbs as the frequencies that can fill those pieces to help, when we need to detox, which we most of us need to do a lot of, just given the realm that we're in. um, where is there energetic support that I need? Flower essences, for example, or homeopathic remedies. There's so many ways to work with herbal magic that we just need to determine first kind of what's going on within all layers of our being, down to the slower vibrating energies, which is what we call the physical body, because that needs to be supported very differently than our astral energetic body, right? So we have a lot of things that we need to work on, and the way that I really see it as vibration medicine. So it changes and it ebbs and flows as we change and ebb and flow. So it's like we don't take one herb forever, right? We use what we need to help support our journey, with the hope and the intention that at some point we have balance again in our bodies and we don't need anything. And then we just can use the herbs and the magic and the flower essences and things to enlighten our days rather than needing to detox, or some kind of support mechanism.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I really love that, there is like a physical way to connect with those frequencies through nature. I think it's such a beautiful thing. And I'm with you. Like when I first discovered, plant medicine in terms of like not just ingesting it, but working with it to activate certain properties. Scott Cunningham has a famous book where it lists all of the magical properties of herbs. And I found that reference book so interesting because who knew? And then when you actually connect and you touch and you smell the plants, you really feel into them and you can really feel that shift within your body.
Yeah.
And I always love saying that there's something powerful about having something physical that you're working with while you're manifesting, um,
Yeah.
and coming into alignment. Because yeah, shadow work is great and doing the work and talking to therapists and whatever it is that you're doing to bring yourself back into alignment is awesome. But having that added layer of connecting with nature in that way and tapping into those frequencies, it just gives it like this extra oomph about the work that you're doing, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And helps us remember, I know that, you can go into any gift shop and that's like a spiritual gift shop and there's something about chakras, but I think the truth about those has been minimalized a little bit, minimized even, to where we're not seeing that, seeing the energy centers, which there are way more than seven, in the most powerful way, because they're stargates. It's literally how our multidimensional being exists in this realm.
Mhm.
And so, herbs are just another way in many formats to work with those energy centers and clear them. and
Mm.
purify them. Because if those are flowing, that's that connection in divine that can stay clean and clear. It's basically keeping our channels, because we're all channels. We're all channels. People may not know that, but they are. And so we have to look at, what are we channeling? What are we bringing through our beings? So,
Yeah.
it's just one more layer.
Oh, I love that. You've mentioned magic quite a few quite a few moments in our conversation, and I want to understand a little bit more of how does believing in magic and the power of women how can that help the world become a better place?
Yeah, it's a big question, but it's also really, you know, okay. When I was little, magic was very real to me. Everything that I bought or was drawn to, it had a magic component.
Mhm.
And so I always knew, this thing called the occult, magic in general. The occult just means that which is hidden. So it's just hidden from it's like hidden behind a veil, right? And so it's magic has always been there. And what is beautiful is that, through this octave change, if you will, we're experiencing the veil lifting. And so magic is becoming very much a part of conversations all over, faster and faster and more and more. And so as everything in this realm changes, we're becoming hyper aware of living creation, and we were faced with this beauty again, I guess we should say. Well, the way that I look at this is, it is very much related to feminine, to not just feminine from a female perspective, but the sacred energy of the sacred feminine, the divine feminine. And this is really the cosmic mother to me, Sophia, also coming online again,
Mhm.
because as this world is purified, just like we're purifying our bodies, the earth is purifying, and we're beginning to that those energies can rise again. And so, we can't lie and say, women haven't been hidden and, pushed away into corners, and the work of women for tens of thousands of years has been burned, just like witches got burned at the stake. We have a lot of remembering to do, grief to feel, and then igniting in a place of power once we cleanse and clear all those deep wounds again. And what I really foresee is the power of this all. Magic is the underlying component to it all, but it's not like coming from wands like Harry Potter style, right? But it is truly magic. It is truly magic, because sacred energies are the magic that all of creation was founded upon. And I really I'm this it's exciting, because as more and more of us awaken to this realization and this truth, that's where the masculine and feminine energy start to balance within each of us. And then if we're balanced in those, that's what starts to happen in our external
Mm.
reality. So it's all connected to the work we're doing within, using these
Mm.
aspects.
I love this. Yeah, absolutely. I want to backtrack a little bit back to the herbs conversation. How do you personally use the herbs and, the natural healing methods to like move forward in your path?
Yes. So I use a lot of um the flower essences.
Mm.
So if well, that's just one component, but just talking about the weaving the sacred energies and harmonizing again, because again, I had a very imbalanced masculine energy within me. Women can be toxic masculine, period. And if
Mhm.
women are stuck in boardrooms where all men exist, unfortunately, this is a big wake up call for many of us. We need to wake up to the truth that we are getting the toxic masculine energy from those spaces. So for me, it was actually bringing more of my feminine to life, not just, not the feminine in the way that it's not an exterior thing like I need to paint my nails. That's not feminine, right? I mean the energy of compassion for me had to really come online in a big way at the end of the day, because that was really essential for me. So the way that I have really used herbs in that way is to start bringing balance within me has been working with flower essences that can, provide the masculine inner strength, but bring the intuitive and the compassionate, empathic me alive. So working with those kinds of energies is powerful. And I also work with a lot of homeopathic remedies
Mm.
on top of course, the physical herbs and more for the balance within my physical being. But from the sacred energy perspective, working with the homeopathic remedies and then the flower essences has been a really beautiful reminder for the energies within me to start. I feel it's I keep doing this because that's what I feel like it's doing in my body. Like they're starting to weave together again properly.
Mm-hmm.
And there's the disconnections and the breaking patterns that were there are now being weaved together in a perfectly divine way.
Mm. Can you share any rituals or traditions, from your culture, the things that you have learned that you think could help our lives today?
Oh, so I have been, some of the most beautiful experiences that I've had has been really, it's not being afraid anymore to be who I truly am, bringing in my ancestral, which I am my own ancestor, um, knowings, rememberings. And, I am of the Celtic Druid, or what, I mean, Druids have been around way before the Celts, but the Celtic Druidic lineages. So, in bringing back the truth around what Druids always were and always have been and always will be, forgetting all of the man made religious lies and manipulations and untruths around the Druids. No, they were not evil. No, they didn't do anything. Anything that you see written in most books are wrong. It's not true. And there's a reason why they were being covered up, is because anything, any being that lived in true harmony with all that is can't be controlled. And so getting in touch with that truth for me has been extremely powerful. And then bringing that to life through, I was actually called to what I call the Albion, which is Albion used to be that region that we now call UK, Ireland,
Mm.
Scotland, Wales, Belgium, Germany, France. That entire region was the Albion, and that's a bigger story. But I was called there in October of just this past year. Literally, the dragon energy of those lands was calling me home, saying, "You must be here on the 20th." And so I went, and a Celtic sister of mine came as well. And the insights that I gleaned from that experience were far more than I can even, it's still unfolding within me because it's that powerful. But one of the most important things that I've been bringing through, I've also been working with this beautiful, the Celtic Druid Temple in Ireland, and they're just beautiful. They have like 14 acres in Ireland, and they took derelict land and grew it into a forest just by
Wow.
loving the sacred land and working
Oh.
with the powerful energies of all it is. So they're beautiful, beautiful, beautiful humans. And so part of the remembering for me has been honoring the eightfold wheel of the year again.
Mm.
And but not in the way that, I've always tried to join those kinds of groups over the years.
Hmm.
I always, I was always called into things, and then I was like, this
Yeah.
isn't what I'm looking for. There's something wrong with it.
Yeah.
I think perhaps it was this new age layer that just, I don't know, there was just layers of things that felt really um untrue, not
Mhm.
connected into the divine, I guess.
I
So,
know exactly what you're talking about.
okay, yeah.
I'll join
Yeah.
programs or things and I'm just like the concept of it, or they use a certain word that really calls to me, like, um, the eightfold calendar. Like, yeah,
Mhm.
like I pretty much follow that calendar as well. And I like to
Mhm.
live through the seasons.
Mhm.
But anytime I've joined a specific group, something always happens. I don't know if it's like the motivation behind it or just like the energy that's there, or maybe I'm not matching that frequency for whatever reason. But I totally get what you're saying. I think this kind of work is more of an individual work, and it's lovely when we come together as women or come together as individuals, right? And amplify that energy. But the work, I think, really, like, there's no leader, there's no prophet, like there's no one to really like follow. Like, you just have to follow your own divine guidance and your own, I think that your spirit team really is there to kind of train you and guide you. And I think we lose our way when we look upon another human being for to tell us what to believe in or how to do our magic.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's like my friend and I started a workshop series around it to start bringing back truth.
Yeah.
Because that's the other thing. There's been so many manipulations around these holy days that used to be sacred. So what we're doing is bringing back truths, doing ceremony together. And then it's allowing you bring what you need to bring into it to allow the rest to unfold.
Yeah.
And I think that feels more in alignment and what I was always, I guess, seeking as well. And it's also this nonsense that, and it's really strong for women. And I'm just going to lay it all out because for me, it's like we don't have to look a certain way or wear a certain piece of clothing. I'm going to do my altar right here on my desk because that's where I can do it right now because I can't go start a, fire right at this moment, or it's just these rules and things that we need to be I think I've always been leery of,
Yeah, same.
and the not having to wear certain, like, that to me is ridiculous. Like, I'm just going to come as me. How about that?
Yeah. No, totally. I like to call that like mediums gone wild because, I think they're channeling something, but it's not like the purest and highest being that's for our highest good, right? I think it's like they're just being taken for a ride. And that's when I love seeing people that are like, not love, but it's really interesting to see people that say like, oh, I'm like channeling, Metatron or whatever the case may be, when they don't even have a relationship with that being.
Yes.
And they're kind of being taken for a ride. And that's when you see people all dressed in white or blue or whatever. And it's kind of like, this is weird.
Exactly. And that's or I was always called into witchy groups, and then the witchy groups get so dark. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't want to do, because look, there's been a lot of lies around that whole thing too. I've really gone into the abyss on some of this stuff to
Same.
see, where the veil's been pulled over our eyes, like, symbology and things, which again, this is a whole other conversation, but we've been lied to about symbols. The pentagram is not evil,
Right.
period. I know that we want to pretend that it is because we've been told that it is, but get back to the truth of what that meant. So that is the kind of stuff that that I'm bringing into all this, is get back to original creation
Yeah.
truth.
The basics.
So
Yeah, I love
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
a lot of the times when we're running a business and we're trying to put the word out, we're also trying to survive in this 3D world, right? There are responsibilities, and we want to
Yeah.
keep the lights on and nourish ourselves as well. How do you balance between, the business and staying true to what you believe? Because I know as a business owner, you see all these things on like TikTok and Instagram, and it's like, oh, maybe I should be doing that, but it doesn't align, right? So how do you balance that?
Yes. And, this is actually the teachings and work that I bring into the
Mm.
guru side of things. Because even guru, that's a word that's been hijacked.
Yeah.
It literally means in Sanskrit bringing that which is hidden into the light. That which is in the dark to the light. So there's different ways, but it's just dark to light. That's what it means. So words, getting back to
Yeah.
chosen words. So, here's something on words too. Think about this. The word business is busyness. I'm like, oh, ew. I don't even want to. That's why I try to say sacred mission as much as possible,
Mhm.
because that even just changing the way that we frame what we do. I run a sacred mission. That's very different than I run a business.
Mhm.
And run, the word run. I don't run in busyness. I forge and flow my sacred mission.
Mm.
Just saying these simple things. It's simple. The truth is always simple. That's another layer. But the way that I stay true is I change the words. But also, what we have to know is, I've been in marketing for over 20 years now. I mean, I stepped into this in, when it really got big in 2005, right?
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
when,
I remember
that's
that.
when yeah, I was there, I was in it. So I've seen this evolution, and I hate it. I hate everything about the word marketing. I don't even use the word. I say magic. We are getting our magic into the world. So instead of saying I have to sell my stuff, say, no, I have to share my gifts with everybody and get my magic into the world.
I love that.
Even that makes us reframe the way that we talk about what we do, right? So then, I think there's this other layer of the shiny things, like you just said, in the
Yeah.
marketing world. I say magic world, but it's also aligning with your energy. So I always align with my energy. I try things just to try things, and then that way I can speak from experience and say this is really what it's going to take. If you want to do the TikTok realm,
Mhm.
remember what TikTok is. Does that align with you? Does the
Mhm.
platform align? We have to remember that, like you said, the unfortunate part is that we are grasped by, in illusions of money playthings, but that, like, that's the most important thing, but that isn't what should drive us. Like, if we just hone in on the sacred mission, using our innate gifts every single day, then that energy just kind of follows us. It brings itself into our wake of the sacred mission boat. That's what I call
Yeah.
it. Because if we can keep focused, then that energy of money will follow. But we're
Yeah.
not focused on it, right? It's following us because we're focused on what we're here to do. And that's the beauty of what we're here to do, is assisting in some way, right?
Yeah.
And it's also just not doing what everybody else does. So, in my spiritual side of the work, which is the Disrupt Now programs and the podcast and all of that, I don't charge something just at my what the investment is what I feel the value is that I provide it within that thing.
Mhm.
So just because 10 other supposed healers are charging tens of thousands of dollars, I'm not going to do it just because they are.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm going to do what's right for me.
Yeah.
Like, let's get back to the core of what that even, it's about the value we're providing, not just putting some fake number in just
Yeah.
because everybody else is doing it. And I
Yep.
think that is just one other way that we can stay true to what we do.
Yeah, it's so interesting because I had a business coach. I've had actually several business coaches, and they all have this like high ticket value proposition. And I'm just like, this just does not feel good. It does not feel right. I don't want to like also get married to just one thing. Like I love doing a lot of different things, and I want it to be accessible, and I want to share my gifts with as many people as possible and not like gatekeep it. And a lot of the concept of like high ticket kind of stuff is all gatekeeping. It's all about like there's like a different energy and frequency that comes in that it repels me. So I totally get what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like we have that we have varying offers. But again, we don't do a thing just because everyone else is doing that thing.
Right.
And
Right.
that's where marketing completely loses it's just it's like we as sacred mission runners, we cannot be beheld and behold to these um marketing, like growth hackers and
Yeah.
we are not Silicon Valley startups. you
Yeah.
know and we need to treat ourselves very differently within this whole ecosystem.
I agree. Oh my gosh, you've said so many things in this whole interview that just speaks to my specific situation.
Love it.
And the things like there's a lot of things that I'm taking away that I'm like, oh, that message was so for me. But you did mention some of your offerings. Can you just reiterate, where can people find you? What offerings do you have today? And what is it like to work with you?
Yes, I've built a lot of new, there's it's like we have to keep up with our own evolution, right? Which is sometimes, part of the challenge, but so that I am doing the workshop series on the Wheel of the Year, and that is really fun for us because again, we want to dump in a new light around all of that and how we can celebrate together without all of the BS, essentially. So disruptnowprogram.com has a lot of it's basically that is my place for all things metaphysical and healing. So that's a really good place to go. You can also, I have it forwarding, but it's awakeningmagic.com.
Mm.
And I always spell magic with a K so that we don't ever confuse it with the stage magic of like Las Vegas, for example, because it's not that.
Right. Yeah.
And then I do have teamgoo.com, and that's GU .com. That is where I support sacred mission holders and my team. We support in strategy. We support in, really bringing magic online, and also creative support because, we're not meant to do all these things alone. And sometimes just having a sounding board is really necessary. And what I'm trying to really help sacred mission holders with is um, realizing that we can forge through strategy, like being strategic, and then we can flow into the creative. So it's really this experience of the multi dimensions that we actually are, that we can bring into our missions, and how we unfold it in this world, and that we don't have to follow the same path as everybody else.
Mm.
So those are a couple of good ways to connect, and just to kind of see what we have going on. Um, the vibration medicine aspect is coming online big time for me.
Oh.
That's the master herbalist unfolding, and I'm also a root cause protocol practitioner, which will be done here in the next coming weeks, which I'm really excited about. That's, for me, it's about really getting to the truth of what is the root of all imbalance in our body.
Mhm.
And the answer is simpler than we think.
Mm. Beautiful. I will definitely be following to see how your path unfolds. And I will also be linking all of those links and your social down below to make it easy for our audience to follow you and
Mm.
find your offerings. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your wisdom with us and really giving us some nuggets to think about and really integrate. And I'm just so grateful.
Same. Thank you for allowing me the space to do so. And I'm excited to see how your journey unfolds too.
Thank you. I appreciate that. For audience, if you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a comment, interact with us, like and subscribe, and I will see you next week.